hope.
We're hoping. don't forget the hope agenda. Okay, this is ATN Blowout. If you're just joining us, welcome. Let's go straight to the topics that we have for today. The very first story, this one's talking about 100 shops have been shut down in Obete main market in Enugu by the National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, for alleged selling of suspended fake alcoholic beverages. The agency also confiscated a truckload of adulterated products as well as effected arrest of 4 suspected traders in the process of a well-coordinated raid. Now, speaking after the raid and arrest, NAFDAC's Director Southeast Zone, Farm Martins, has said that on Monday, the suspects were already in custody and will be charged to court after ongoing investigation. Now, he also noted that the raid was in furtherance to NAFDAC's mandate of safeguarding the health of the nation and ridding the Southeast of unwholesome, substandard, fake and adulterated products. All right, Mufasa, let's hear you on this particular one. Talking about fake products, you know how it is out there in the market. I don't know how much you have experienced that. Maybe you're trying to get a product and then you find out that it's fake. That if you find out, sometimes you might not even find out. After consumption, you then find out, or maybe through the news stories like this. Yes, what are your thoughts?
Well, quick one. Let me start by commending the agency. Okay. I think it's a good one. We want to be seeing more of this. Quite unfortunately, it happens at a time when we are struggling, trying to grapple with cholera. And all these things can, definitely be linked together. When you consume poisonous substances that could affect your health, it could lead to a whole lot of things. So I want to say big kudos to the agency, as I will still urge them to do more. Then, you see, most times, if not all the time, you can't really differentiate the fake from the original, And even after you have consumed, the content, you may not even likely identify which is fake and which, and for me, that goes to show how dangerously we are living in this country. I could only imagine why somebody would want to go into such a venture, because for me, even if you think that you just want to make some quick money, by bringing fake consumables, into the country, or manufacturing it or producing it, wherever the case may be, you may not, be the one to consume it, but you have relatives, you have friends, you have families that resides in this country. So they could also, consume such, poisonous substance. So it's something that, it comes around, one way or the other. So I think these individuals should be tracked down to their, to the least person that is involved. Most times, what we usually see is the food soldiers being apprehended. I am aware, and I know that they also have sponsors. They have big players in the industry. They have people who have invested so much in that business. These are the big players, and if those people can be tracked, it will go a long way to, curtail some of these news that we heard every now and then. There was a time in the past where some guys were also busted, I think by NAFDAC or so. I think either in Onisha or Aba or something like that, where you see them producing even those so-called expensive champagne and the rest. They have a way of bottling the things that you can't even differentiate the fee. And those drinks, most times, they find their way into the shelf for some of these big supermarkets. And the prices they'll call for you for those drinks,
the same price.
It'll be almost the same thing. So yes, and what is worrisome for me? Some of these big mats, some of these big supermarkets, they know how to get these fake things, because they usually sell it to them at a very cheaper rate. Something that ordinarily if you want to buy the original, let's say a bottle of Dom Perignon, for instance, I'm not trying to project any name. Let's say, assuming
just a bottle of
the bottle of drink, assuming what you ordinarily should get it, if you want to get the original at wholesale price, let's say at the rate of 70,000 naira, and you're seeing somebody selling the whole carton for that same amount. So what does that tell
obvious.
you? So for me, I think even those retailers that even patronize them should also be cautioned. That's why NAFDAC should also go out of their way also to be going to check the shelf of some of these big supermarkets, because you never can tell. These products find their way into the shelf of the supermarket, and people still go there and buy it.
When you say
it's really unfortunate.
Yes, when you say big supermarkets, a lot of people trust these supermarkets.
Exactly.
I have bought fake products from really big supermarkets before, and I was so disappointed because I had these superstores around me. I didn't go there for a reason, because I needed the original. And then I went to the big supermarket after going all the way, and then I still bought the fake products. So people really have this trust.
Yes, yes, because to them, they believe that these big supermarkets, they don't go for anything less, because of the name that some of these big supermarkets they have. That's why I said that NAFDAC should also, see a way of, going to check what is on display on these supermarkets. Like you just said now, a lot of people have equally experienced that. They go to these big supermarkets, they buy the fake products, and even if you go back to say that, they'll tell you that, well, it's not their fault. So we really need to strengthen our institutions like NAFDAC, institutions like the Standard Organization of Nigeria, so that Nigerians don't get to be in a position where you with your money you still don't have access to quality product. Is really unfortunate. So what I'm commending NAFDAC, I'm equally urging them to also do more by going further to track the sponsors and the people who are funding these criminals, and also go as far as assessing, checking what is on display on most of these big supermarkets, because like both of us have agreed here that these products most times find their way into the shelf of, and nobody is safe anymore in this country.
We finally agree on something.
That is the beauty. that is the beauty.
We finally agree on something.
That is the beauty. That is the beauty of time and change.
When you talked about tracking the sponsors and these manufacturers of these products, sometimes when we hear that custom maybe apprehend some petrol or fuel that are being smuggled out or smuggled in, some people would ask, what about the main people? Because these are just one of the customers of these guys that you have apprehended. So there are thousands of other customers that you haven't seen. So as we hear that investigations are on, we also hope to hear more about this particular story and more about the investigations that are on these big fishes being caught and actually the right things being done. Now let's look at the next story and see if we would agree on this one today. Senators from the southern part of the country under the aegis of Southern Senators Forum have condemned in very strong terms the heinous suicide bombing attacks that took place in Tashan, Maraba, Goza town of Borno State on Saturday, 29th June 2024. Now, the bombing, which claimed the lives of at least 18 persons and injured numerous others, the forum, while commiserating with families and victims of the unfortunate incidents, called for collective robust response to terrorism in the country. And in a statement that was signed yesterday in Abuja by the chairman of the Senator Adeto Kumbo Abiru, APC Lagos East, the Secretary General, Senator Barinada, and all of that. Well, this is a story talking about the Southern Senators condemning the suicide bombing that took place in Borno State. And more on this story, the forum said that these heinous actions of terrorism are a stark reminder of the persistent security challenges that are facing the country. That's just the umbrella of it all. That's just the main thing here, the main topic here. Insecurity in the country. This is just another case. This is just another sad event that has actually highlighted the fact that insecurity is a big issue in Nigeria.
Well, please forgive me. I beg your pardon for I shouldn't even be giggling or laughing. But then again, I think it's quite pathetic. It's a condemnable act. My sympathies to the government and people of Borno State. I don't know, but I really do not understand if we're actually making progress in the fight against insecurity, because suicide bombing, it's been a very long time ago that we heard about suicide bombing.
Yes.
And if this is, coming back, that goes to show that a lot really needs to be done about this issue of terrorism and banditry in this country, because I was really I was astonished to hear that two young ladies were the ones that were used to perpetrate this heinous crime, and for me it is quite unfortunate. That is why I want to use this singular opportunity to call on the Nigerian government, if it's possible, to reach out for international help.
Insecurity?
Of course, even the United States of America, when they are, prosecuting peacekeeping and all of that in the Middle East, they also get help from other nations. Just even the current war going on in Ukraine. The Ukrainians, the government equally, sought international assistance
really
and help.
Advanced cases.
This is what is happening currently in this country is even worse, because this is an asymmetric warfare. It's not a conventional war, which means that the enemies are living amongst the people. So you need high level of intelligence to identify these people and get them out of the system.
When this was mentioned, it was said that it would be quite embarrassing to know that we cannot handle our insecurity problems, and we have to stretch a hand out when there's no serious...
It's not. You see, like I said, I don't know how well, you can measure seriousness, than what we are experiencing today.
I remember when the debate was on this, when I think one of the senators actually brought this up. Okay, why don't we ask for external help? And then this was actually the debate that was on. Are we really in that point where we need external help to handle our insecurity? Don't we have the agencies to handle this?
Well, the ultimate goal in this instance is to restore the peace in this country and to get these criminals out of the country. For me, I do not think there's anything embarrassing, asking for assistance. Like I've said before, even advanced countries, bigger countries of the world in Europe and America, when it's getting very, very tough for them, they request for for external assistance. It's just for you to arrive at a certain term and condition. Because if people now are beginning to see young impressionable minds becoming willing tools in the hands of these terrorists, then it leaves so much to be desired in the minds of the people. Mind you, these are young people who may not be opportune to have the kind of orientation and education that they should have ordinarily, if we are really serious in advancing the fortune of our young ones. Now, they find their way, unfortunately, in the hands of these terrorists, and they can be easily brainwashed, manipulated, into, carrying bombs around themselves and going to detonate where people. And, if you want to even look at it from the angle of economic viability, when people begin to hear the resurgence of suicide bombing, it's going to scare away investors from this country. So there's nothing wrong in reaching out to.
What do you think is the problem with our own security agencies handling these issues?
Well, I know that our security agencies, they are not adequately motivated. I also know that we are also lacking in advanced information gathering technology, because like I've said before, this is not conventional war. This is an asymmetric war. You are fighting against an enemy that resides within your territory. So what you need most is intelligence gathering. And for you to be able to get this intelligence, you need top-notch, digital system. You need top-notch technology. You need people who are well-trained, in gathering this thing. I'm not saying that we may not have, a handful of them in our military, but we're not getting any result. And for me, we can just, swallow our pride, get external help, and, let them work with. The externals can work with our locals and see how to improve on the fight against insurgency.
A lack of political will to handle insecurity in Nigeria. Do you also see that as a problem?
Well, partially, because I know that, they say desperate times calls for desperate measures. And if we have a government, that actually wants to prioritize security, I'm sure this thing would have been reduced to the barest minimum. But
even
rather,
with our level of technology
no,
that we're already using?
No, level of technology, I think, is a far cry. You see, level of technology, if you go to most of the police stations that you have, currently in this country, you hardly find a desktop computer. Is that bad? So when you talk about technology, you have to start from there.
I'm holding on to your statement where you said if we probably had leaders who had the political will, the insecurity in the country would have been reduced to the barest minimum.
I said, if we have leaders who would want to prioritize
security,
yes,
it would have reduced. I'm asking, based on what we have, we would have still been able to reduce the cases of insecurity in the country.
No, but what you want to say based on what we have, what do we have?
What do we have?
That is the question. We don't have anything. I talked about, this is 21st century. Everything mustn't be kinetic. There has to be other approach. Like, we need to start looking at, deploying more digital techniques in fighting crime and criminalities. If you go to the major streets of some of these big cities in Nigeria today, you can't find CCTV cameras on the streets. That is one simple thing. Because if you have cameras on the streets, you have the street properly lighted up, even before the act is carried out, you will notice this, a suspicious movement, and you nip it in the bud. But most times we have to be reactional. After the act has been committed, you start hearing statements as we're on top of the matter, we'll deal with them, and all of that. It's like moving around in circles. So when you say what we have on the ground, for me, I do not think we have anything on the ground. So that is why I use the statement that we need to prioritize fighting insecurity as one of the biggest panacea, able to improve our economy, because no reasonable investor will want to come into an atmosphere, an environment where you start hearing suicide bombing. For me, like I've said before, it's something that I thought that we have gone past that stage, but it is not coming back. What does that tell you? That we are operating in a case of motion without movement. 10 steps forward, 20 steps backward. It's not a good one.
Help, do you agree we're going to be spending a lot of money?
It does not. If you spend a lot of money to achieve it, no, of course.
So what if we invest that money in our agencies that we have in improving technology and whatever else that needs to be done so we can do it ourselves?
No, you can still get this thing, because even if you get external help, the people that you will bring into this country will need what you have on the ground. They will tell you what they need to get the job done, and they will equally train our own, you know, in areas that they are lacking. And for me, like I've said before, there's no pride in it. Let us don't see it as like you are now becoming a lesser nation when you ask for external help, especially to fight the kind of menace that we're having today in this country. So for me, if you spend money,
if we get external help now, it's not going to be the first time we're getting external help to fight.
When was the last time?
We've had cases where we had to get external help. Was it during the girls, was it during the Chibok girls that we had external help?
No.
There was actually a time when we had external help concerning insecurity in Nigeria.
Well, I may not be aware of the kind of help that you may be seen as external help. Now, you see, people have always clamored for that. Like, I don't know. I will still go and do my research and finding to know the exact kind of help that we got that amount to external help. Currently in Israel, you see what is happening between the Israeli and the Hamas, a terrorist organization, and you saw how the United States of America are supporting the Israeli to combat the Hamas and their group. That is external help. You see what is going on in Ukraine and how some countries, some NATO countries, some allies are giving them help in terms of technology, in terms of arms and
That's
equipment.
That's actually not the same.
I'm coming.
You're giving instances of very severe
now that is the mistake we are making.
But what is the guarantee?
No, I'm coming. See, that somebody come into a place and detonates a bomb, killing his or herself. Is that not severe enough? You don't need people to start dying and people be somebody. It is you see. Let me see. That is why we don't, get results quickly enough. I just told you war is war. Unless in this case, you are fighting against domestic enemies. And let us also rule out the possibility of these criminals, these terrorists, having affiliates in other countries, because we know that terrorism they have a global network. They have cells all over the globe. Like you have the ones you have Hezbollah, you have the one you have in Somalia, the ones you have in Sudan, and the rest. So ISIS and ISIL, and they are all connected. So this is a war that is currently happening in this country, and they have a mission. And the sooner we see it as that and begin to tackle it with the seriousness and enormity that it requires, my sister, we are going to keep having this kind of problem. Investors will be scared to come into this country. People wouldn't be able to go to their farmlands, and it's going to amount to a serious, chaos. So it is a disaster that is waiting to happen.
Okay, if you actually think that we might not have leaders who are ready to prioritize security, then if we have external help and all of that, what is the guarantee that we'll have the political will that is needed for all of these things to be carried out?
No, you don't. There's nothing like guarantee.
Because the last time we had the external help I'm talking about, there were talks about them saying there was an undertone to what they are being told from their investigations, and they had to actually leave us our problems. Those were the talks that were on then. So what is the guarantee that it's going to be different this time?
Now, you see, there's a way we, use politics to wish away good things, that other climes have benefited from. Even in sports, we've allowed politics to destroy our sports. We've allowed politics to destroy our unity as a people. We've allowed politics to hinder our progress as a nation. If you are getting external help, now it could be in the form of a mercenaries. Mercenaries could be engaged. Other countries who are just waiting, countries in Europe and in America, who are waiting for you to beckon on them. Like I said, there will definitely be terms and conditions attached. But as a leader of a nation, as a people, you must spell out what you want to achieve at the end of the day. Let us not begin to mix politics with everything, because if there is insecurity in the north, don't feel too safe in the south, because it will get to a time where if they have finished capturing the north, they want to progress further to the southern parts of the country. You see what is happening even in the west, in the southeast and all of that, where marauding headers who are not genuine headers. These are criminals who pretend to be headsmen, go into villages and begin to kill people and take people captive and all of that. We know these are not the actual things that headers that we know. That yes, headers that we know before. What they do is to tend to their cattle.
But that's before.
But now, that's what I'm telling you. Now the kind of headers we have, these are not headers. These are criminals masquerading as headers, because you cannot leave your head of cattle and go and start kidnapping people in the bushes. That is
killing people.
Killing people. So this is a question that the Nigerian state need to, because you don't begin to say that it's in the north and let us see it as it has not gotten to that gravity. Yeah, we'll not begin to sort external air, because it is. Let us not think like that.
We want to even see that
everything should be taken seriously.
See our own agencies do more, and then we now see that okay, now I think we need to look outside. You know, how much have we even had our own agencies?
Now,
how much political have we even seen amongst our leaders to actually prioritize this?
Now we also have talk. We also have had that some of our security agencies have been compromised, allegedly, and we also know that, like I said before, the motivation is not encouraging. If that is done, that will also help. Now, how do you now tackle the issue of infiltration? The issue of some of these our people who have been compromised and they give out useful information, classified information to this terrorist group. Yeah. If you get external help, people who are vast in intelligence gathering, of course they are not from this country, they are from outside the country, so they don't have any affiliation other than the mission that they've been sent here to do. They can easily, with that superior knowledge and training that they have, identify some of these elements, issues that I've just mentioned, and equally train our own, because even our own people go out there to get trained by them. Yes, they have these interagency programs that we do where we get our own, we send our own there. They also bring theirs here. But in this case, the mission has to be stated out that we are inviting you people to come help us in so and so, and let us just see where it will get us. Like I've said before, there is no pride in it. There is no, it doesn't make you a lesser nation, than what you proclaim you are. Otherwise, countries like the United States, even Russia, China, and Ukraine, that have one of the most, the biggest and highly equipped military in the world, they will not be also getting help from other nations. So it mustn't get to a stage where it becomes a full-blown war before we will now consider getting external help. They say a stitch in time saves 9. Already we are getting to the tilting point where if not properly handled, suicide bombers will now come back something that we have almost forgotten will now come back and start, carrying out their operations, around the northeastern region and of course the northwest. And we can't be too sure if, by what we saw recently in Borno State, if they even had plans to even attack the seat of power, which is Abuja. So for me, the government should take this seriously. And also before I end this discussion, also the government also need to look into the issue of poverty and illiteracy. Poverty and illiteracy is also another bigger threat to national security. I saw on the news the other day that some of these persons who were contracted, who were manipulated, were given as low as 20 naira. I saw it. Some of these young girls, imagine if 20 naira could excite, you can imagine the level of ignorance that could lead to that. So these are little things that we can do on our own part, while we also consider getting external help from outside the shores of this country. What we want is a Nigeria that people can feel free to do business, a Nigeria that people can feel free to go into their farms and grow their crops, and we make progress as a nation.
All right, that act is seriously condemned. Thank you so much, Mufasa. The federal government, on the next story now, is set to commence the disbursement of 150 billion naira soft loans to micro, small and medium enterprises and manufacturers by the end of July. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Doris Zoka, has disclosed this in a statement through her official X handle. And according to her, 60% of the proposed 1 million beneficiaries of the presidential conditional grant had already received a financial grant of 50,000 naira without repayment obligations in the 774 local government areas of the country. Talking about alleviating poverty, taking a look at that as a problem, poverty, and what else did he say? Illiteracy now.
Yeah.
Okay, illiteracy, we'll look at student loan, but for poverty now, that has brought us to this next story, where it has been stated that the MSME loans are ready for disbursement. And then for the promise of the, how many people now, can I say that now, about 1 million or 1,000 people? Okay, yes, that's the 50,000 naira grants now. About 50% of that has already been paid. In fact, we had a guest the other day who told us that he has been paid his 50,000 naira. So do you see this as a step by the government in putting an end to poverty and then encouraging businesses?
Well, it's a good one. It's not something that the Nigerian state alone has done. Other countries that are doing well still give out grants, can never be filled up. Nigeria is currently in a state where everything that we consume, let me not say everything, I can say 85% of what we consume in this country we import from
So
outside.
you get that data from?
Where, but that is what it is. Just as I still cannot place how our government arrive at the ratio
of the people that
or the
have been
demograph of who should get the 50,000 and who shouldn't get it.
The people
we
who
have
actually
said,
applied,
the
business owners who applied, are the ones that got it.
now, this is what they will tell you.
Are you making reference to another story now, where the federal government has said that they want to give 50,000 naira to homes?
I'm talking about this particular story.
Okay.
That 50,000 has been given. In fact, they've concluded 50%,
60%
of the program, which means a lot of people have received their 50,000. You just told us now that somebody that was on this platform confirmed that he has gotten his own 50,000. Good and fine. Like I've said before, it's not a wrong thing giving out grants and loans to your people to aid small and medium-scale enterprises. But what is the business environment like? You know, you cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. I can tell you for free that most of the people that are getting this 50,000, they're using it to go and buy gari and beans and rice to stock in their homes. What kind of business can you do with 50,000 in an environment where if you don't have a generator, you cannot see, you can't have access to power to run your business? A country where you can't go into your farm, assuming you want to invest that money in farming, you can't go into your farm for fear of being killed or kidnapped by bandits or terrorists or criminal herders. A country where you don't have access routes, you don't have security, you provide water for yourself. So these are the issues.
These are
the industry. That is why I said if you want to empower.
You we don't need that. We don't need immediate.
Everybody, as it stands now, it's like this is like a quick fix arrangement. It won't stand the test of time. Nigeria as a country, we have lost it a very long time ago, and it seems that we are not even interested in going to tackle the problem from the source. What we are addressing is the symptoms.
These are just measures. That's why I said they are immediate reliefs, and that's why they are called that. They don't stand the test of time, actually.
So
even the story we had yesterday, where the federal government has said that they want to give out 50,000 naira to homes in Nigeria. I can't remember the particular amount. And that's different from this one for business owners now. So if it's an immediate relief, so that's where my question is. You think we don't really need, while the government is working on the foundation, like you have put
okay, is the government working on the foundation?
Is the government not doing anything?
What? No, now we're having a discussion.
Doing business easy. Is the government not doing anything?
What is it? No, we are having a discussion. Don't you stay in this country?
That's why you're here as the analyst.
No, I understand, but let's
it's a question,
and I'm telling you now. And I'm telling you now.
I'm not here to answer questions.
Okay,
I'm here
good.
to ask.
Thank you very much.
So, do you think the government has not done anything doing business?
None that I have seen.
Even these loans that they're giving out.
Giving out loans. You just said it's quick fix. It doesn't make those. Now, if you this 50,000 naira, if you finish spending this 50,000 naira, you go back to the trenches. Have you solved any problem? If you are giving out palliative, it is something that you are giving as a stopgap measure. Whereas people will still be seeing what you are doing on how to revamp our moribund industries. People will be seeing that you are making efforts to get our roads network properly worked out. People will see that you are putting sincere and deliberate efforts to fight insecurity. People will see that you are putting sincere and deliberate efforts to ensure that Nigerians have access to power. Not the disparity in band A, band B, and band C.
Okay,
everybody.
So you're also against that?
It is wrong. That is discrimination. Everybody should be on band A and should have access to light. Should have access to power. Because it's not free. Even the people in band C, the people that you have classified and reduced to band C, are they not paying for the power?
So they have told us time and time again that they're not getting the number.
There is no power. So let us stop deceiving ourselves. That is why I say that there is nothing on the ground. You need to dismantle, if it's possible. But it's very possible. Where there is a will, there is a way. You need to dismantle the faulty foundation that we have and start building. And the moment we have a government that is willing and ready to build, it's not something that will hide. I don't need to go and start looking for it on the internet. You will see that this government has a policy that is intentional, that is deliberate, to take us out of our woes and and our miseries and pains. It is a democratic system of government, for crying out loud. And in a democracy, I've always said before that there's a social contract. But what we see is a complete far cry where our leaders have violated us, they have raped us, they have disappointed us and disgraced Nigerians. And for me, it's a breach of contract. So let them start seeing that when they start giving 50,000 naira to people, to household, in this critical time that 50,000 naira cannot even cook you. I'm telling you, cannot a decent pot of soup.
Well, you are the one who
I have said it, and I cannot get it because even these so-called people, they don't use their money to food. They don't go to the market.
I would like to see your pot of soup.
No.
A decent pot of soup.
A decent pot of soup. Okay.
Party.
Now, not for your home now.
Wow.
That will take you for let's say for 4 days. You buy meat, you buy fish, you buy crayfish, you buy salmon, some of those things. These are the things that we eat. That you don't need to spend much. But now it's a luxury to have balanced diet. True. Balanced diet is a luxury. So what will 50,000 naira do for you? When the atmosphere is tensed, the environment is...
Nigerians have been asking for quick relief.
Nigeria now.
We are going through so much pressure.
We are going so much pressure. Give us. We need it. Don't start. Give everybody. Because I know that they are planning.
When it gets to you now, you cook a pot of soup.
I will cook a pot of soup. Where they are planning to get a new private jet for the president for billions. So why can't us live decently? And they're living decently. They're living flamboyant life and ostentatious living.
Reasons, and you know the president has.
Okay. Enidoye Jackson. Well, for security reasons,
when we go back to this story, Mufasa, let me clear something quickly on this story. When we talk about the MSME loans and then the loans for manufacturers, we had this story some time back where the federal government has said that they want to give out loans to business owners, small business owners, and large-scale business owners. And they have said that for large-scale business owners, they have the loan of, they have an opening for, I think, 1 billion naira. And then for small-scale business owners, they have an opening for 1 million naira. So then the 50,000 naira now could be for, I don't know, smaller businesses or something like that. And then another 50,000 naira for homes in Nigeria. This one was released yesterday. So all of these measures now that you have heard that the federal government actually made provisions for loans for small scale, large scale, 1 billion large scale, 1 million small scale, do you also see that as something that we should embrace? Or do you also see that as them trying to make doing business easy?
No, you know, giving out money does not amount to making doing business easy. Like I've said before, Nigeria will not be the first country and only country that is assisting its populace, especially people who are willing to do business with grants and loan. But my quarrel is the environment is saturated with all manner of discouraging factors. That is why most of the people who are going to get this loan, I'm telling you for free. Ordinarily, if the environment is encouraging, if the environment is viable, if the environment is secured and peaceful, they would want to veer into businesses. But most of them would collect this money and use it to stock their houses with food. Even the ones that is not even a grant that you are meant to pay back. Some of the people who received loans in the past during the COVID era and all of that, they are still, in fact, I can tell you that about 70% of those people have not been able to even pay back such loans. And most times I don't blame them. Man must survive. You have to survive first before you look into business. And if we have an environment where it is encouraging for businesses to kick off and and thrive, you would want to venture into business, without any fear of being attacked, without having to first of all think of money to power your business, before first of all thinking of money to provide roads and security for yourself. People pay certain amount of money for security around their business premises, even in residential areas. So the government should first of all look into that. See how to create that enabling environment so that when you give up money for people to do business, you know that there will be no excuse, you know, for you not being able to repay back that money. That is the point I'm looking at. I'm not saying it is wrong. What I'm saying is that let us not see it as a way of trying to, on the part of government, trying to, what's the right word now? Trying to distract, trying to shift the minds of the people, like to take their minds away from the rot that is currently going on in the system. Let us see the government actually applying intentional, deliberate efforts in putting Nigeria on the right path of peace, prosperity, and progress. Let us see a government that is putting things in place on the ground. We want to see that the government is making so and so move to ensure that there is power where the federal government has their own jurisdiction, then where the states also have their own jurisdiction, because when I mean government, I'm not just referring to the federal alone. Nigeria operates a federal system of government and we have federating units. But the federal government has to set a standard. Then the people now will now start putting pressure on state governors to be alive to their responsibility. That is only when you can collect 50,000 naira and go into, even if it's pure water you want to sell, you know that you don't have to fear of the fear of a whole lot of factors that are, you know, militating against the progress of businesses in this country.
Thank you so much, Mufasa. Let's take some time off. We'll go on a short break. And when we return, the conversation will continue. Please stay with us.
I don't get a lot. Boy, they won't booga me small. They say, man, give them bribe. I say, nothing. Okay, now, we'll go block later. You remember that contract we will do that time now? They don't pay.
But first, you see the house rent with the old things. We go first call caretaker, take the money, slap him.
Beg, see, you know, say I get annual levy why they pay for club. Where me and boys they shark beer in our house, I could pay that one. You remember say me and tell you I go buy you motor. I go buy now.
Okay, they pay you money now. We don't they beg caretaker? We they beg landlord, old man, and they agree give us time. Money can't come now. You won't divert time. You said na corruption. Corruption, not in my house and not in my country.
Sure?
Sure.
Corruption, not in my country. This message is brought to you by the Akin Fadayi Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
Corruption, not in my country.
Kasali, I hope so my car don't ready. I get interview in 30 minutes.
Okay, you don't ready. I just the last minute instruction where you give me yesterday. Now in the cause more delay.
Which instruction?
Maybe now you say make I change the meter, make you no read again.
Which time did I make you change meter? Oh, Kasali, why you do like this now? You don't get sense. You don't read the text message. Nobody I want send them to. Like Kasali, my electrician, make it come house, call me, do my meter so that you don't go to read again. You know electrician?
Your electrician?
Yes, now.
So you call Kasali electrician, make it come help you adjust your meter, make it for no read again, Abi. So you said you want join people where be say they no want they pay NEPA bill again, Abi. Oga, you no good now. You don't use them, you don't they behave like all these stiff people.
Oh, what you change from your motor? What you change from?
Full light. Fuel gauge. Speedometer.
For what you know, you for come out for home my motor. I better identify for me.
Okay. Now don't do something we corrupt. And something come backfire. Now go come they find how to dodge them.
What you talk?
They greet you.
Corruption not in my country. This message is brought to you by the Akin Fadehi Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Welcome back. It's still ATN Blowout right here on Atlantic Television Network. I still have Mufasa Musan with me in the studio. We have been discussing issues making the rounds in Nigeria today. And our next story is talking about the Minister of Works. The Minister of Works, Engineer David Umahi, at the weekend revealed that his ministry has cancelled policy and practice of variation of price for construction projects in the country. And the minister disclosed this in Calabar during a stakeholders meeting on the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road construction project. Said that the practice was a huge fraud as contractors use it to put a hitch on government projects. You know, he also disclosed that directors in the ministry had been directed to relocate to the zones and sent daily reports to project execution. And Engineer Umahi explains that this was a part of a number of policies to ensure the proper supervision of government projects across the nation. We've had too many uncompleted projects. We've had too many projects with reports and allegations on fraud and corruption. Do you see that this as a step to put an end to all of those cases of corruption with projects in Nigeria? What are your thoughts generally?
Well, it's a very fantastic move by this minister. I have always known Engineer Dave Umahi as somebody that is purposeful, result-oriented, and for me, is doing just that in the Ministry of Works. A lot of factors have actually presented itself as a militating factor in you know, a whole lot of things, especially as it has to do with road constructions and execution of other basic amenities in the country. And most times it goes through because we do not have leaders, we do not have administrators who are deliberate, who are purposeful, who are willing to ensure that these jobs are, are carried out, and seeing to the logical conclusion. Now he talked about variation,
yes,
where after bidding for a project and a certain amount is agreed upon, then you have been mobilized to go ahead to execute the contract. You had to now delay, then after some time, because of inflation and all of those things, factors, you come back to say that you can no longer go ahead with what was agreed upon because things have, gone up and all of that. And most times it leads to the project being abandoned, and a lot of money will be, will go into waste, So for me, that the minister has, risen up to the occasion to speak against it, and also to come up with punitive measures, saying that if you are not ready to honor the agreement between you and us, then we'll revoke the contract. And you could imagine the implication of contract revocation, which means the amount of money that has been given to you in the inception, you have to refund it. And the government has a whole lot of, case against such herring contractors, But what we usually see, because of the, sharp practices, because of the mago, if I should use the local parlance, kickbacks that some of these directors, even some ministers, they get, the kind of business, bad criminal business that they have with these contractors. These contractors, most times, they have their way, and it is wrong. We keep complaining about our roads not being properly done. Even the ones that they complete, they use substandard materials and all of that, that does not fit the actual amount that was given to you. Yeah. But people don't talk about it. But now that we have a new sheriff in that ministry, somebody who is serious in giving Nigerians quality road, is one exceptional gentleman. And I think if other ministers should, tool his part, I'm sure that we'll see some level of progress going forward.
That's this question, especially when we talk about road construction and projects in general, when the government has talked about doing away with the middlemen and just being in contact with the contractors themselves. Do you see that also as a measure of putting a stop or reducing the level of corruption?
It all depends on the policy of government. I know middlemen, they equally have their role to play. You cannot completely and entirely say you are removing middlemen from the process. It is a process, and they have their own role to play in the process. But when you put all the necessary measures in place to check sharp practices, it becomes very difficult for even the middlemen to want to circumvent the system.
So what problem do we have with putting those measures on the ground?
Because the entire system is corrupt. You heard when he said even directors in the Ministry of Works, they are equally part of the rot in the system. In fact, some of them are contractors themselves. They bid for this contract, award these contracts to themselves. And they also know how to cut corners at the detriment of completing the job, at the detriment of delivering quality job at the end of the day, and a whole lot. But if there is a system in place to ascertain who actually these contractors are, also to ensure that they don't have any ties with the workers in the ministry, whatever ties you should have has to be strictly professional. And at that particular stage, you will be thoroughly and closely monitored. You heard what the minister said. You cannot be monitoring or supervising a project at the comfort of your office. You have to go and, you go to the site, do on-the-site assessments.
That's normally how it's supposed to be.
That is how it's supposed to be, but that is not what is going on in the country. So it is nauseating, it is repulsive, it is unfortunate that, you know, we have a system where everything goes, and that goes to show how, you know, how faulty, how largely compromised our institutions are. If the minister can stand on this policy and say that enough is enough, there has to be a stop to all these things going on in this ministry. I'm sure going forward, we'll be seeing results. Look at the East-West Road, for instance. East-West Road has been under construction for more than 2 decades now, and the road is still under construction. So there are a lot of explanations that some of these contractors and the people who awarded this contract to them need to answer to Nigerians. And I'm sure that is what the Honorable Minister of Works, I'm sure that is what he's trying to demystify. And if there is sincerity of purpose and intention, he has my support.
What about going back to some of those projects that have already been abandoned and, you know, revisiting them, properly investigating and all
that? Is,
I think we had a story like that a few days ago where it was stated.
Yeah, that is what I'm equally advocating for. Let us get to the roots, and let us also begin to see consequences meted out on those people who have compromised, those people who have stolen our money, those people who have collected bribes, those people who have awarded contracts, you know, that have not been executed yet. They have been paid full payment and all of that. We need to get to the root of the matter. We need to see people, most importantly, we need to see people being punished for what they have done to Nigerians. Until we begin to see consequences for bad behavior, it becomes an unending, you know, trajectory in this country.
All right, thank you, Mufasa. Let's look at this next one now. The agonies of retirees from the Federal Civil Service appear to be getting worse as the federal government has failed to release funds for payment of accrued pension rights in the first half of 2024, which actually ended 2 days ago. Now, the federal government had reneged for the full year 2023 as no funds were released despite budgetary provisions. The release made in the first quarter of 2023 was for outstanding payments in 2022. Now, this comes against the backdrop of the federal government's failure to implement its policy on the upward review of pension amounts under the contributory pension scheme for 15 years against policy prescription of upward review every 5 years as stipulated by the law. This is another problem we had, reason we had the Labour come out to say, according to the law, you're supposed to increase the minimum wage after 5 years. Can we go back to where exactly we actually stopped on that story now? While the law stipulates that pensions shall be reviewed every 5 years or together with federal civil service salary reviews, whichever is earlier, the federal government has failed to implement pension adjustments under the contributory pension scheme since the scheme's inception in 2004, which is outrightly against the law. All right, Mufasa, your thoughts on this one?
Well, it's really unfortunate and pathetic that you know, our senior citizens who have put in sizable number of their years into the labor force, you know, and now that they are meant to enjoy their entitlement, it's not a favor.
It's not a favor.
It's an entitlement, you know, because every worker is entitled to his wages and salary. Now that is the time for them, you know, to enjoy that, which is their due and proper. The government is taking them for granted. and it is highly condemnable. We saw in the story that there was actually budgetary provision for them, which means the money has been provided for in our Appropriation Act. Now, why has the money not been released to them? It is callous, it is wicked. For me, these are people, majority of them are widows, some of them are widowers, most of them have attendant health issues that they will need this money to cater for. It's not as if the money is much, but it's their due and proper. For me, it is inappropriate. It is wrong for them to be treated the way they are treated.
We have the law,
you know, in this manner.
Yes, we have the law, and we have all of these things provided in the law. And even though people have said implementation is kind of like one of the biggest problems in Nigeria, we still have some parts of the law that are being implemented. But when it comes to issues like this, look at what I stated earlier about labor, that they had to actually go on strike and say, come, the law actually said it's time to increase the salary. So what's going on? And now this. So why does it seem like when it comes to salaries, especially salaries of workers, there's always a problem with implementation? And these people have to come out and fight and cry and protest and talk, and the media for a long time before anything's even done about it.
That is the most unfortunate part of it all. And, you know, these people, before they leave office, after serving as governors, after serving as presidents and whatever positions that they've held before, they approve pension for themselves. You know, running over millions of naira, and they get their pensions as at when due. Now, place it side by side with these people, these pensioners who have put in, some of them 30 years, some of them 35 years. And even during the period of their, you know, of their stint in the civil service, some of them were just paid the minimum wage of 30,000 naira as the case may be.
Monies were taken from their salaries.
Monies were taken from their salaries and kept somewhere. Yes. And the worst part of it all, there was a time I had that the government even wanted to borrow from the contributory pension scheme. They wanted to borrow. Is that not the height of insensitivity to the plight of those people? For me, they don't have any excuse to give. They should make sacrifices for Nigerians, because they keep saying that Nigerians will make sacrifices. The Nigerians that should make, does it include these individuals? Some of them are above 50, some of them are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. There is no social welfare scheme for them, assuming that they have to be patient for government to do whatever they feel they are doing. They don't have any pension scheme that covers their health care. Like, this is a welfare scheme for pensioners, transportation-wise, health-wise, and otherwise. They don't have such. But in other countries in Europe and America that most of these our politicians, they go to for weekends, they go to watch football games, spend taxpayers' money, go and watch a classical, and you know, most of these things that they go to do in Europe.
But the people have a voice at the end of the day.
They have a voice. They have.
So why does it seem like their voice is not?
Their voice is being suppressed. It's not this. Okay, now we are talking about labor and minimum wage. We are talking about wage review or salary review, as the case may be. That is in the Civil Service Act. That every five years there has to be a review. Do we see that happen without the labor putting up a fight? The answer is no. What kind of voice? How do you expect them to amplify their voice other than what they are doing now? Some of them go to this ministry, they sit down there from morning till night. Oh, biometrics. oh, verification, oh, this and that, just to frustrate them. Some of them will die in the process. Nothing to do. So for me, our leaders, our governments, both states and federal government, local governments, should know that the power of the people is greater than the people in power. Without the civil servants, the governments can never run, because the civil servants are the engine room of government. They are the people who run the ministries. Ministers and commissioners they are just politicians and administrative heads. The people who run the ministries are the civil servants, and they deserve to be treated right.
Talking about civil servants, labor strike, and all of that, the Labour has been urged to declare a nationwide strike. Now, Campaign for Democratic and Workers' Rights, CDWR, has called on organized labor to immediately mobilize and declare a nationwide strike over the minimum wage and the recent hike in electricity tariff. Now, according to them, the Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, as the next step in the minimum wage struggle, should declare and mobilize widely for a 48-hour general strike and mass protest to demand the minimum wage not less than 200,000 naira and the reversal of all anti-poor policies, privatization, deregulation, subsidy removal, electricity tariff hike, and all of that. In a statement by its National Publicity Secretary, Chinedu, okay, now that is actually what they have asked the Labour to do. Go on another, in fact, nationwide strike concerning electricity tariff, the minimum wage, and they're still sticking their feet, standing their ground on 200,000 naira.
The strike is on already. What Labour just did was to suspend the strike. The strike has not been called off. So going for another strike for me is like sounding like a broken record. I'm aware that Labour is on strike, only that the strike was suspended. Now, for what they've told us, both on the part of Labour and the part of the government, that they are still negotiating, that the committee, they call the tripartite committee, is still having discussion.
Negotiating on the minimum wage.
Yes. We
haven't heard anything.
No, the last time we had, good. Now, that is another kettle of fish. That is why, like I've said on various media, that a lot of things that Labour need to agitate for. Electricity tariff is one. Our industries, refineries that has become an unending issue, is on. The issue of housing is on. A lot of things, but it has to be itemized so that you have to now start addressing it on a scale of preference. If Labour, they are talking about wages and salary, they are well within their rights to do so. But I would equally want Labour to place it side by side with some of these things they just mentioned. Because if you are giving 200,000 and we still operate the system that we are in today, we are still meant to experience this kind of inflation we are experiencing today.
These things. We're wondering why statements are not made concerning them. But everybody's just talking about the minimum wage. When the federal government responded, what's on the minimum wage?
Because that is what is on the front burner. I don't think I've had Labour on any occasion in recent times talked about the federal government fixing the refinery and giving them a time frame for them to do so.
How many of their demands, how many of them have even been attended to?
That is why they keep negotiating over and over again.
On minimum wage.
On minimum wage, which is still a key demand. Because, like we've said in our earlier discussion, that minimum wage is meant to be reviewed every five years. So they are well within their rights to, advocate for that. Right. But let us also look at how well would this minimum wage be able to take you home. We are talking about minimum wage. We should also be looking at a living wage. So these are the things. Labour should also place some other salient issues as they agitate for a living wage.
Right.
Let us not make the living wage or minimum wage, as the case may be, the sole aim of their agenda and push, because if that is the case, it still happens to be a case of motion without movement.
Thank you so much, Mufasa Imosan, for your thoughts on the stories that we have discussed today on ATN Blowout. This is where we get to wrap things up. Thank you for being a part of this amazing conversation. Do not forget that we are open for sponsorship. We are open for partnerships. Stay connected with us on all of our socials, on Facebook and YouTube, on Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram and TikTok at Atlantic TV Network 1, and X at Atlantic TV Net. And watch us live on our website at www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you once again for watching. I am Enidoye Jackson. Coming up next is Open Conversation. Again.